What's good, Alabama fans? Are you guys ready for our Alabama football watch party? If you guys are going to be joining us on Saturday, make sure you share today's video right now for me. We want as many Alabama fans in the chat as we possibly can. Just mute the TV, have us up on your phone or your laptop. I'm not saying don't watch the game, but join us here as well. Make sure you share today's video for me right now. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down a little bit about Jalen Milroe, as well as some different packages that Kane Wommack talked about during yesterday's press conferences that really excites me. But first up, we're going to talk about Jalen Milroe and the fact that he told Alabama media yesterday that offensive coordinator Nick Sheridan has finally made football fun again. We know the past couple of years just hasn't been the best when it comes to the relationships with the offensive coordinator for Jalen Milroe. Specifically, that relationship was with Bill O'Brien was pretty toxic. And Tommy Rees, I just don't think he really was able to utilize Jalen Milroe's best skill sets to the best of his ability. But first, this is what Jalen Milroe said yesterday about the relationship that he has with Nick Sheridan. He said, "He believes in me and he loves me. I think there is nothing greater than that. Beyond any X's and O's and going over schemes, it is the belief system that a coach has in a player. You're going to want to play for a coach and do your best because you have a coach that is behind you and wants the best for you. That is something that I have seen from our time period of him, and getting here until now, it has been really fun." Look, that is a stark contrast from the comments that he made about Bill O'Brien a couple of years ago. And to be completely honest with you guys, I personally think Bill O'Brien is one of the most overrated coaches in college football. I mean, I think that what Alabama was able to do in his time as the offensive coordinator was more because of the players and the athletes that they had on the field at the time. I think Bryce Young ended up winning that Heisman that year despite having Bill O'Brien there. I mean, just the offense was so cookie cutter. You had 2 targets the entire year, and it just wasn't any fun to watch, to be completely honest with you, besides hitting those deep balls to J-Mo. I mean, Bryce Young could have done so much more for Alabama in that offense. You had so many guys that could have been playmakers on that offense, and he just whittled it down to 2. I think Nick Sheridan this year is going to be able to spread the ball out. And sure, you may not have one wide receiver that has 1,000 yards this year, but I think you could have 4 or 5 wide receivers that have 400 or 500 yards this year. You have that much ability on the offense this year. With the playmakers that you have, especially at that wide receiver position. You've got a lot of playmakers at the running back position as well. I think this offense this year, it's going to be very dynamic with Nick Sheridan and with this Kalen DeBoer offense. This is what Jalen Milroe said about Bill O'Brien in his time at Alabama. He said, "How would you feel if I told you that you sucked? The biggest thing for me is to be true to myself and to stay the same. Nothing changed about me. The only thing that changed was that I had the opportunity and I seized it. For me, it was to stay true to myself and add a bigger purpose to anyone's opinion. He told me a bunch of positions that I could have switched to, but look where I'm at right now. Who gets the last laugh?" I think that's the perfect quote about Jalen Milroe. I know that quote was from last year, but it still stays true to this day. So let me know in the comment section. It is the pinned comment of today's video. Grade your confidence level in Nick Sheridan, Alabama's new offensive coordinator this year. Scale it for me 1 to 10, 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. It is the pinned comment of today's video, so you guys should know what that means by now. That YouTube ad is going to come here right now, so make sure you get down at the pinned comment and scale your confidence level for me in Nick Sheridan. Look, guys, we know what Jalen Milroe has to improve on this year. He's got to get through his reads quicker. He's got to get better in the intermediate passing game. And I want him to be more decisive this year as well. There was multiple times last year when he was, he knew he was going to run the ball. He gets 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, 4 yards sometimes, and ends up throwing the ball. He had multiple touchdowns last year called back because he was beyond the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. So it's just things like that Jalen Milroe definitely needs to improve on this year. He also needs to get rid of the ball quicker to help his offensive line, and his offensive line needs to help him too. There were just way too many sacks last year. Whether it was the offensive line's fault or whether it was Jalen Milroe's fault, those things need to be better this year, and I think they will be. You got an extra year of Caden Proctor just getting better. He's lost a little bit of weight. I think he looks a whole lot more athletic. I think that's going to help him in the passing game as well. We'll see what happens with that right tackle position, whether it's Wilkin Formby, whether it's Elijah Pritchett over there. But I think the interior of your offensive line is really going to be a strength for your offense this year. But going back to the offensive coordinator conversation, I do think it's just really, really refreshing to hear the love for your offensive coordinator because we've heard Jalen Milroe talk about the fact that they've gone through the playbook and they've picked things out that Jalen Milroe likes to do and that he feels confident doing on different downs and, situations. And so, I think personally, this is my personal opinion, I think Tommy Rees last year at times really called plays for himself because Tommy Rees was a quarterback in college. So I think, there are a lot of times that he thought plays that would work for him. I think those are a lot of times the plays that he called instead of what Jalen Milroe is able to bring for you in his skill set as well. So it's really, refreshing just to hear the fact that your offensive coordinator actually believes in your quarterback to make the right decisions and just, be the best player he can be at the end of the day to help your team. Today's show is presented by Factor Meals, and we want to give a shout out to Factor Meals because they're amazing. Guys, look, there's a lot of days, especially with football season starting now, that, we're in the office sometimes till 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I don't have time to eat, or I don't have time to cook. So Factor Meals helps me out in that way. That's why I use Factor Meals, no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you will always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Treat yourself to restaurant quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon. They've got shrimp. They've got blackened salmon. All those things. I've tried them. They are very, very delicious. It's not your normal, pre-packaged meal that you heat up. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in just 2 minutes. No shopping, no prep, no cooking, and no cleaning up after as well. Head to factormeals.com/BamaChat50 and use code BamaChat50 to get 50% off your first box and then 20% off your next month's box. That code BamaChat50 at factormeals.com/BamaChat50 to get 50% off your first box with 20% off your next month's order while your subscription is active. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's video. Another thing that really excites me, Kane Wommack talked the other day about the fact that Alabama could go out there with packages with two Wolves on the field at the same time. I think this is kind of a throwback to, last year, with the Nick Saban defense, the fact that you have two outside linebackers coming as edge rushers instead of kind of the normal what you're going to see most of the time on the defensive line with that bandit, two defensive tackles, and then your Wolf/outside linebacker. I think it's really exciting to see the fact that you can get Quandarrius Robinson and Keanu Koht on the field at the same time. Maybe even Qua Russaw possibly we could see this year as well, but I think those two guys are going to be the main guys really to line up at those positions. This is what Kane Wommack said about the potential of those different Wolf packages. He said, I think they all have a versatile skill set that we're going to be able to utilize in different ways schematically. Personnel groupings that we have on the field, you may see multiple of those guys at different times in the game, depending on the situation. Their ability to do multiple things from a mental standpoint and from a physical standpoint will allow us to utilize them in a number of different ways. And I think this is kind of how that two Wolf package would look. You got Keanu Koht over there on the left side as a Wolf, whether that's Tim Smith or Jaheim Otis alongside Tim Keenan. I think they're going to switch a lot of those guys out, keep them fresh for those defensive tackles. And then you got Quandarrius Robinson over there also on that other side as that other Wolf. And I think this year, man, Quandarrius Robinson, it's his last year in the program. He's really got to break out for you this year. And I hope he can absolutely be the guy to do that for you. You've seen his career stats here. You know, he just hasn't been able to get on the field when it comes to that defense. He's played plenty of special teams for you, so he's got that leadership. He's got, time on the field, just being on the defensive side of the ball. He hasn't been able to do that because Alabama has had a plethora of talent at that position. What I would like to see for Quandarrius Robinson this year, I'd like to see a good 40, 50 tackles. I'd love to see double-digit TFLs. You don't necessarily have to have double-digit sacks, but I think with his skill set, he could definitely get there. So I think this could be a breakout year for Quandarrius Robinson this year. Let me know in the comments section, guys, do you think Q-Rob will have a breakout season this year? Type Y for yes or type N for no in the comments section of today's video.